So today we are going to break down what to look for when it comes to buying your pet's food.
That's right, and Dr. Joel Conn from Pismo Beach Veterinary Clinic joins us this morning to give us some tips on buying the right food. It's very important, right?
Good morning. This is a complicated topic, and I could probably literally go on for hours and hours. So we're gonna try to compress it into to 3 to 5 minutes. So a couple of quick bullet points. First of all, right off the bat, stick with a brand name product.
Okay.
In general, we want to stay with something that's a well-known brand, not a generic, not a company brand like the Walmart brand. And that's a pretty good rule of thumb right off the top. As veterinarians, we tend to recommend kind of the top 4 pet food brands. That's going to be Purina, IM/Eukanuba, Royal Canin, Science Diet. And the reason for that is these are the companies that produce the veterinary diets. So they literally spend millions of dollars a year on research and development and making sure that the products that they feed are doing what they say they're going to do and have the ingredients they say that they have. It doesn't mean other brands aren't good, but sometimes going with a larger company in some ways is better because they have that budget for the research.
Sure.
So the first thing is stick with a name brand product. Check out their website and ask to see the science behind the food. And if they can't document feeding studies and nutritional data on their diets, then that should raise some red flags. The other thing is talk with your vet regarding any special dietary needs. So a diabetic, for example, or an overweight kitty, they may have some slightly different needs than a typical young, healthy, underweight or normal weight puppy. And that's really important right off the bat. And the label claims can be somewhat misleading, so getting some expert advice from that is a good idea. One of the really important things that a lot of people don't even know about is the AAFCO statement. And basically this is a regulating agency that oversees dog and cat food ingredients and profiles and instructions and all that kind of thing. Okay. And every good food product should have an AAFCO statement somewhere on the back, and it's usually in really tiny print on either the side of the bag or on the back of the bag. And the AAFCO statement is going to say something like, this food is formulated for all life stages, or this food is formulated for adequate nutrition in adult dogs. Or it'll say this food, clinical studies or feeding trials have shown that this food provides adequate nutrition for pregnant females or whatever. Ones that talk about feeding trials or clinical studies are going to be much more reliable than ones that say this food is formulated for, because all that means is on paper the food is supposed to provide good nutrition. But in actuality, it could be comprised of leather and sawdust, and that's not the case, obviously, but it could be comprised of things that are not digestible, and in actuality, the animal's not getting those nutrients. So the AAFCO statement that says clinical studies have shown that or feeding trials have shown that, it's going to be more valuable to you. The label claims are really interesting.
Yes.
A lot, the front of your product is where most of the money goes into making these foods. So there's a couple of quick rules. The 95% rule. If your food, and this is an FDA regulation, if your food says this is usually it's a simple name, tuna for cats, beef for dogs, that means it has to contain at least 95% of that ingredient listed.
Oh, okay.
And that's going to mostly apply to canned foods because most products don't contain 95%. If it says beef dinner, or beef nuggets, or beef formula for dogs or for cats, those modifying terms make it a 25% rule. So this food that I have here says salmon and rice formula. That means that 25% of this product has to be salmon. That's it.
Okay.
And it actually only applies to the animal product, not the rice in this case. If this says salmon and tuna formula, those two products have to add up to 25%. So it's kind of an interesting thing. And now the 3% rule. If it says with, so dog food with beef, dog food with chicken, it only means it has 3% of that item.
Really? That's
so if you compare beef for dogs, beef dinner for dogs, or dog food with beef, totally different products.
Yeah.
And that's actually an FDA regulation. And
I don't think people know about that.
No, it's something that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of an interesting thing. Certainly contact me if you want more information on that. Most of the money goes into this label here. The way it looks, the color, the font. Don't be confused by marketing.
Yeah.
Terms like natural, premium, organic in the animal world have virtually no meaning. And so most of that is a marketing claim as well. So make sure that you're actually doing your research, reading the label on the back. Finally, the guaranteed analysis on the back, protein, fat, carbohydrates. That's based on an as-fed basis. So if you're comparing a dry food to a wet food, different moisture levels, you're actually not comparing apples to apples. So you actually have to convert that. That's kind of a complicated process. Certainly I'd be happy to help anyone that's interested in actually comparing that. So a lot goes into it. There's a lot of great information. If you Google FDA pet food products, you're going to find all of this laid out.
And real quickly, we're out of time, but I have to ask, difference between wet and dry food?
It's moisture content mostly. Okay. Most wet foods are a little bit higher protein, and they're going to tend to be higher animal protein in a lot of cases too, but it can vary significantly. Okay. So kind of interesting stuff.
Yeah, perfect. That was a lot of information. Yeah. So if you have a question about your pet's health, you can email it to askthevet@kcoy.com.
And all right, thank you, Dr. Joel Conn. We appreciate it. We always like to see you. And stay with us. We'll be right back.